Hello, my friends. Happy Friday. So happy you're here. My name is Sarah Chatello McGuire from Sassy Paper Crafts. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I have an adorable card for you guys today. It uses the Hello Ladybug bundle, but also the Hydrangea Haven bundle, which right now is on sale in my online store. There is a major sale going on, and it's called Spring is in Bloom, or yeah, Savings in Bloom. That's what it's called. Savings in Bloom. And the mini stamp and cut and emboss machine is 20% off. So if you don't have that yet, which I don't have that yet, but I'm going to be getting it. If you don't have that yet, now is the time. If you've ever thought about getting into die cutting, upping your crafting game a little bit, that little mini emboss machine, I'm so excited for it. I just can't wait to get it. I have the full size one, which is what we'll be using today, but the dies that we're using will fit in the mini. So I will show you in a minute what to look for in the catalog. Also, if you're on the website and you're not sure if a a die bundle will fit in the mini, it'll say in the product description that it is compatible with the mini. So if it doesn't say that, it's the dies are too big, they will not fit. But if it does say that, you're good to go. So with that, I think that's all the announcements I have. It is a new month, so when we go down to my desk, I am going to have a new host code for you. And so that host code, when you shop in my online store and you use the host code, if your order is under $150 before tax and shipping, use that host code. I will send you a free gift in April. If your order is over $150, you get Stampin' Rewards, so do not use the host code. And if your order is over $150, you might consider joining my team, because for $99, you get $125 worth of product of your choice. So that's something to think about. If your order is $100 or more, you might want to join, because your next order after that is going to be 20% off. You get a demonstrator discount, 20%. Isn't that awesome? So let me just get over to this video, find any comments. Scrolling. This always takes me a minute. I actually got my tablet to turn on today, which that was exciting because I couldn't get it on my last live I did in my VIP group on Sunday. Hello, Tammy. How are you? I haven't seen your name in a while, but hello, Tammy. So I'm going to turn my camera off and show you my desk, and then we'll get started on our project. I always have to figure out where I have to go in the settings. I found it. Okay, put it in the little thing, turn it back on. There we are. And it's actually quite perfect. So there's that host code if you do plan on placing an order. And this is the cute card we're going to be making today. I'm really excited about it. And honestly, looking at this, I put "You are capable of amazing things" just because I thought that's a good inspirational card. This would make a really cute baby card, I think. I like the colors. So we're going to be using colors from the Subtles collection. Gary says, I'm finally off when you're live. Yay! So glad you could make it today. I'm going to move this just so it's not in my way, but you can still see it. So we're using the Hello Ladybug bundle, which is a punch bundle, which I love punch bundles, especially if you're kind of still new to stamping, you're still getting your feet wet in the crafting world. Punches are a very easy way to up your stamping game. So if you look at this, I did use some dies from the Hydrangea dies, but that's just punched out. And it's super easy to do. I'm going to show you how to do that. Before we get into that, though, I want to show you the Hydrangea Haven bundle, which is on sale right now. So this is the stamp set. It's a photopolymer stamp set. There are 22 stamps in here. It is a two-step stamp set, which means the stamps are meant to be layered. So like you have this pretty hydrangea here. This goes over top, the leaves go over, and you can layer colors. You can do really cool techniques with two-step stamps. That's really hard to say very fast. And these are the dies. So I'm going to be using a sentiment from the stamp set, but I'm really going to be focusing on these dies. So I'm going to be using this cute label. I'm going to get that out. There's also a little tag in there. We're not going to be using it today, but it's super cute. I'm going to be using these flowers and then these leaves. So we're using 3 dies from this die set. set it over here. And we're going to start with our stamping first because that's just easier for my brain to do. I'm going to move my punch to the side just momentarily. I have a basic white card base that measures 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. Hi, Tammy. There's another Tammy. Hello, Tammys. And so this is a standard card base in America. I have a piece of soft sea foam that is 5 1/4 by 4, and that's just going to layer on top of there. And then we're going to do all our stamping on this piece of basic white, which is 5 by 3 3/4. So everything is just 1/4 inch smaller all the way around, and it gives it a nice layered look. So I'm going to grab my stamp from the Hello Ladybug. I need this big guy here. I need the ladybug body and the ladybug wings. I also want this little tiny, it's very small. I'm going to show you the image here because it's easier. It's a little splattery stamp. So it's very small. I'm going to put that on a block so I don't use it. I'm using a block for that. Don't want to lose it. And then from the Hydrangea Haven stamp set, I'm going to use, I don't know if I want to switch up the sentiment or not. See what fits in here. You can make this a thank you card and put, I appreciate all the little things you do. Let's do that. And then I need the little teeny tiny leaf from this stamp set. And that's it from Hydrangea Haven. And I have 4 ink colors here. You can use less. I just went with these 4. I have Highland Heather, Soft Seafoam, I don't know why that looks like that. I need to clean that up. Calypso Coral, and Smoky Slate. So let's start with the Soft Seafoam. I'm going to grab a D block for this big old leaf. And I'm going to move these pieces because I don't want to get any ink on them. Oh, thanks, Tammy. She says she loves my nails. Color Street. They're easy. So I'm just going to ink up my leaf in the soft sea foam. And I'm not pushing too hard, just gently kind of tapping it. And then I'm going to put it kind of towards the bottom. And I'm not pushing very hard. I just want to apply a little bit of pressure. This is a photopolymer stamp set, which all that means is you just want to make sure you get an even amount of pressure on this. The Stamparatus is actually a great tool for our photopolymer stamps. And you can see I didn't press quite hard enough there, but that's okay. Our Ladybug will cover that up, so I'm not worried about that. While I have this out, I'm going to take this little splotchy guy off and use the little teeny tiny leaf. I don't know if you can see that. It's super small. We're just using a little teeny tiny leaf from the Hydrangea Haven stamp set. I'm just kind of randomly stamping it all over. Just kind of like leaves are flying. The ladybug was hungry and ate all these leaves. And it doesn't matter how many times, whatever you think looks good. Kind of go in different directions. I'm doing a little bit more than I did on the sample I made, but that's okay. And then I am done with the soft sea foam. I'm going to clean my little tiny stamp here. I'm just going to take my stamp and scrub, a little stamp and mist on the wet side of it. Scrub it, dry it, it's good to go. And I might as well clean this big leaf off too while I'm at it. And I just want to put this back quick. So this is one of my top tips. When you're crafting, when you're done with something, put it away. Because those little tiny stamps, I have lost several of them. And it's very depressing when you lose a stamp and you have a set and you don't know if it's in the garbage or fell on the floor, or it's stuck to your foot or whatever. It's sad to lose a stamp. So I always put them away. I don't put it down, I put it away. So now I'm going to go in with the Smoky Slate. And this is totally optional. I just think this gives the card a little bit of like, I don't know, texture maybe, or depth, if that makes any sense. And I'm just stamping this twice. So I'm inking, I'm stamping, stamping, inking again. This is just a really simple technique to give your cards a little bit of pop. So I'm done with the Smoky Slate. clean that off quick. I like to, like I said, these little ones especially, clean them, put them away. And this went into the Hello Ladybug stamp set. And actually, I'm just kidding. I'm using 5 colors because for the ladybug body, I'm going to be using Memento. So I have a scrap piece of basic white here. And if you look at the punch, you flip it over, the ladybug body is facing down. So when I stamp it, I'm going to stamp it facing down. So that way it's easier for me to line up. And I'm also going to stamp as far over to the right as possible, just because that way, again, it's easier for me to ink up or to punch out, ink up. I'm just inking up my ladybug body with my Memento ink. And then I'm going to stamp it all the way to the right. And I'm going to press, like I said, firmly, but not too hard. I'm not smushing it. I'm just giving it some pressure so that way that ink soaks into the paper. And it's just about perfect. So I have 2 of the tiniest little white spots. I don't even know if you can tell. There's one right there. What I do is I have the basic black blends, and I'm just going to take and touch it to the white spot, and it's completely gone. That's what I do when I don't get it perfect. So now I'm going to take the wings on a D block. And if you look at the punch, the wings are facing this way. And my Calypso Coral, I'm going to ink that up really good. Hi, Shirley. Ink that up, and I'm going to stamp this all the way to the left of my scrap paper here. And again, pushing, not smushing, just kind of giving it even pressure. And that one turned out perfect. I'm also done with the Calypso Coral. Now, before I punch things out, I'm going to clean these just because they will fly into them and then I'll ruin everything. So I don't want to do that. I clean them and put them away so I don't lose them. Even though these are a lot larger and harder to lose, I would manage somehow. Somehow I would manage to lose them. And now there is another stamp in here if you wanted to fill in the dots of the ladybug. This layer is right over top of that. You could also go back in with your Memento ink or Smoky Slate. I'm going to leave them white. I just liked how that looked. It's personal preference. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut this in half. And this kind of eliminates the paper waste for me anyway. And it also eliminates the chance of me accidentally punching out something I shouldn't. So you want to make sure to leave a little bit of a tab to hold on to, but I didn't. So if you don't, I have another tip for you. I take a Post-it note and you can just stick it to the top. Oops, grab both. Stick it to the top. Put it in your punch, and then you have something to hold on to, and it'll move with the paper. I'm trying to line it up and not get my head in the camera, but that might be impossible. So I'm sorry if you see the top of my head. There. So that's lined up. I'm going to punch it out. We have wings. And take that off. And then stick this to the top of the ladybug body. And this is slightly on an angle, so just lining it up. That should be good. And there's our ladybug body. And you can save your Post-it, you can toss it. I'll probably save it to use again. And then before I put all my stamps away, we are done with the punch. I'm going to put that to the side. Before I put all my stamps away, I want to stamp my sentiment. So I have the rest of the strip of, well, I have another strip of basic white here. And I'm just going to grab a block. This is a B block. And I'm going to grab my Highland Heather for this. I'm just going to ink that up. Hi, Carol. I'm going to stamp right there. And it doesn't have to be perfectly straight because we're using this label, so you can adjust that in your stamping machine. I'll show you that in a second what I mean. Sometimes I say things and they don't make a lot of sense. They make sense to me in my brain, but they don't make sense to the rest of the world. So sometimes you just have to bear with me. Put my stamps away. And then we're going to grab this. I'm going to move this to the side because I'm going to get my machine out. And I have a scrap of soft seafoam and a scrap of Highland Heather. So I move all this to the side to give room for my machine. So this is the standard Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine, the Big Boss. The Mini, which I'm hoping to get very soon and would be perfect for videos because it's not so big, it doesn't take up so much room. But the Mini is the exact same as this, just smaller. And it also comes with everything you need. So it'll come with the Mini platform. This is a standard platform, obviously, but it'll come with a Mini platform. It comes with all the plates and everything that you need to get started right out of the box. So I'm going to get my sentiment. And what I meant was, if your sentiment's a little crooked, you can line up the die to make sure, like you can make the die a little crooked so that way it comes out straight. And then I'm going to get my Highland Heather and this cool die. So these are little tiny flowers, and when they cut out, it cuts like this. Now, I only need about 5 of them, but I just ran it this way. And we're going to do this, and then I'll run the leaves through because I kind of ran out of room. And I hear there's a rumor that the Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine is getting a magnetic platform, which I'm very excited about. I miss the magnetic platform so much, but if you have a problem with your dies sliding around, you can take that same Post-it note that I showed you for the punch and use it to hold down your dies. I'm just going to move it. I'll show you what everything looks like in a second. I just want to get all of the pieces out of the way. Put that there, push that back through, get my soft seafoam and my leaves. You could also use an adhesive sheet on the back of this if you wanted to. I'm not going to. I'm just going to use glue dots. And I'll show you my little trick for glue dots, because these flowers, the glue dots are actually bigger than the flowers. So I'll show you my little trick to get so that it doesn't, look funny. Okay. Now I can move my machine out of the way and we can put our card together because that's all the things. This card is a bit more complicated, so I would say this is more for a casual to avid crafter. But if you wanted to make it more simple or you're a beginner, you definitely could do this without the die cuts. So this is what the flowers look like. And they just kind of fall out of there. So I have 6 of them. I only need about 5 though. And then these are the leaves. I'm going to take your pick tool. And this is the die brush end. And you can just kind of roll it over your die and it'll kind of pop it out. And it pops out all those middle pieces. I'm going to move my dies out of the way. Get this cleaned up a bit. Now we can bring in our card. I'm going to take a little bit of seal first and put this ladybug together. I'm just taking a tiny bit onto the wings. And I went with the Subtles collection of colors because I am thinking spring. So the Subtles, they're soft, they're pastel-like. So now this leaf stem thing, I'm going to cut apart. So I'm just cutting the leaves off of the stem with my paper snips. I'm getting rid of that stem. And I'm going to do this just a tad bit differently than I did before. I'm going to grab my glue dots. On this card, I stuck the leaves to the ladybug and then popped the ladybug up, which also popped the leaves up. You can do that. I don't think anybody would notice but me, but I'm going to see what happens when I just stick the leaves down to the cardstock. That's the word I'm looking for. So I'm just going to take a glue dot and put one leaf down. And I don't want to get them too far apart because I want my ladybug to cover them up. So let me just see how much room I have to work with. And put another one there. I want my ladybug to cover up the ends of the leaves, but I also want them to show. So another one there. I'm just going to stick my leaves down. And then I can take some dimensionals and put, this is from a paper pumpkin. They're the same as the ones you would buy, but that's just what I happened to grab. Take some dimensionals, put this together. Oh my goodness, the dimensional back is sticking to me. Then I'm just going to cover up those glue dots and also where I kind of messed up the stamping. See, I like that. I kind of want that to move a little bit though, so I'm going to do that. That's better. And then now for the little flowers, I have one of the foam pieces. This actually came from when I bought my clear blocks, the caddy, and I use it to hold my paper piercer. So it just kind of sits on my desk like this, but it's also really good for pushing up flowers. And what I mean by pushing up flowers, I only need 5 of them, so I'm going to get one of these out of here. I have one of the old paper piercers that I don't think Stampin' Up! Sells anymore, but this also works too. If you have a bone folder, I take and push in the middle. So what I do with my paper piercers, I use the butt of it to do that. But this also works with a bone folder. If you have that, or the back of a pen even would work on it. So I like to that gives it more of like a 3D effect, I think. And then I'm going to flip them over. And what I like to do is take my paper piercer or take my pick tool or whatever, grab a glue dot, and then I just kind of roll it between my fingers, but I don't take it off of the end of that. And then I just pick up the flower, and then you can just push it down. And try to hide the glue dot, but it gives it, I don't know, more, like it sticks to it, gives it more of a 3D effect. Now you can also use liquid glue. This would do the same thing, it would hide, because really if I just put the glue dot down, it would be too large and it would come out the sides, which it kind of is doing anyway. So liquid glue might have been a better way to go, but live and learn. I just thought this would also be quicker, but it's turning out not to be. I'm just kind of randomly placing these flowers. Oh, it's stuck to my nail. There it goes. 2 more. Oh, good one down here. Okay, so the flowers are placed. And then the next part is our sentiment. I don't know if that's going to be too big. Nope, fits just perfect. You could also use mini dimensionals, which I have, I just didn't grab them. So put our sentiment on, and I'm going to put it about there. And then before we stick this to our card base, I have some rhinestone basic jewels, and I'm just going to add those to the center of our little Highland Heather flowers. I like to use a paper piercer to pick them up. You could also use the putty side of the take your pick tool or the tip of a pair of scissors. Oh, and Ryan's on. He must be getting ready to come home from work. Hello. My husband, ladies and gentlemen. So those are, woo, I'm dropping things. He's got me flustered, guys. And I'm just going to take a little bit of seal, run it along the back of that. And I'm going to grab that soft seafoam piece, put that on there. And then before I put this down, I'm just going to take my bone folder again and I'm just going to burnish that edge so it's nice and crisp. And then take some seal on the back of the soft seafoam piece. And layer that on there. And now you could also stamp something on the inside of the card. I didn't on these ones. I probably will at a later date, but I didn't. But there are two. I think they're simple, but they're complicated at the same time. I just think they're really adorable. And like I said, I think they'd make really cute baby cards. But we have two little ladybug cards. So I hope you guys enjoyed the Hello Ladybug Bundle Week. Stay tuned on Sunday in my VIP group to find out what we are talking about next week. If you're not in my VIP group, click the link in the description of this video to join. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.